Yo, what is going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans, everywhere? Welcome to the, to the PTN, to the live show. How you guys doing? Hope you had a great weekend, as always. So, not a ton of news out there, not a lot to talk about. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by and watching, whether you're watching now live or if you're watching later. I appreciate you. I really do. You are the rock stars. You really are. If you guys would, when you're done listening or watching, share the content. If you got any questions or comments, please do so in the comment section. I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, not a lot of news. Not a lot of news out there. We do have some stuff to discuss. We're going to talk about what happened over the weekend with the top 25. Oh, my gosh. The upsets, man. The upsets. How about that? The Rams in the NFL. Oh, I know I've got Cowboy fans in the audience. They're not in the best of moods today. I get it. Blaming the officials. I get it. I would be pissed too if my guy, drew a flag with offensive pass interference. Just saying. That's going to rub some people the wrong way. No, but it was a good game. That was a great game last night. The Rams getting that win. But it was good. It never really felt like, I'll be honest. I think the Rams from start to finish were the better team. They look like the better team. That's just my opinion. They dominated the line of scrimmage. I mean, when you let a backup running back like Brown, who backed up TG3, who backed up Todd Gurley for the last several years, do that to you, I think he averaged right under, about 4.5 yards a carry. The Rams just dominated the line of scrimmage. Their front seven played great. Good football. Good football. It really was. I think the Cowboys, honestly, are going to be just fine. I think they'll be okay. We'll have to wait and see. Corona. My Corona. So, also, don't forget to check out all the links down below, provided for you in the description box. If you want to become a Patreon supporter of the PTN, that link is provided for you. It's down there. If you don't want to do that, you're like, I don't want to join a monthly thing. I don't want to do that. I want to help the channel out, though. Then there's also a one-time PayPal link provided for you as well. So, and shout out to everyone who've been a part of that, whether you've donated through the PayPal or if you've been a part of the PTN Patreon. If you were and you no longer are, hey, I still love you. That was awesome. That was great. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're still around with the Patreon, you know you're a rock star. I don't have to tell you that. Okay. Again, we're going to have to do some stretching for news. It's going to start getting crazy, I think, next week. The news cycle is going to pick up a little bit. Of course, we're going to have the NFL to talk about. We're going to have another weekend of football, but it gets crazy. The SEC starts soon. I mean, we're all excited for that. I don't think that's exactly breaking news to anybody. But let me pull up my notepad here really quick. I had some stuff typed out. How about ATM? Texas, I put them down as ATM on my notepad. You get it? ATM, cha-ching. Texas A&M wide receiver and team captain Jamon Osmond. I'm sure Razorback fans remember him. Standout player for the Aggies has announced he's opting out for the 2020 season to prepare for the NFL draft. I have no idea if he's – I don't know that he's a first-round prospect. I'm really curious how many more players are going to opt out between now and week one. I think it's starting to set into these players a little bit. It's starting to set in like, wait a minute. I could be a first-rounder. I don't know. I might be second-rounder, but I don't want to risk the year. And with Corona sneaking around, it's hard to blame anybody, but this is a blow to Texas A&M. I mean, Osmond is a big-time target for Kellen Mond. You're just seeing these guys drop. You look at what's going on with Georgia and their situation at quarterback. I mean, LSU, what are they up to? 4 or 5 players, I think 3 of them were starters, have opted out for the year. This year has just rocked. We've already seen it. We've already seen its effect. And I think this last week, college football, I think was a very big indicator as to what could come for the SEC. Week one, there's going to be a lot of rust on these teams, combined with the fact that you're dealing with the Rona. You're dealing with, if your team catches it and it spreads, that's obviously going to have a huge effect, right? They're going to have to bench guys. They're going to have to go quarantine for a couple of weeks. They're going to have to miss some time, practice, and obviously game time. And so I think that's what we saw last weekend. Was a little bit of both. I think, guys opting out and then guys just not being there because of Rona, being ill-prepared, because of sitting out or quarantining during fall camp. It looks like a pretty smart idea that the SEC starting when they are. Now, unfortunately, if this thing gets much worse, if teams start having to really, if we get more and more postponements, look, this isn't baseball. You can't go play a doubleheader. You can't play, I know they do it in the NFL where you basically play 2 games a week when you play that Thursday night game, Sunday night and then Thursday night. Are the Browns doing that this week? Isn't that the Browns that are doing that? They're playing Monday night and then Thursday night? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Did they play Sunday? They did play. They were terrible. Someone has I'm pretty sure maybe it is Cleveland. Anyway, someone's going to have to play. It's essentially like playing 2 games a week. Can't really do that in college football, but they may have to. Think about the effects of that. If you're forced to make up a game because of guys because of the coronavirus hitting your team. I'm gonna smash this. I'm not a big sour guy, but the sour apple water flavor enhancer from Hawaiian Punch or green apple, whatever. It's so tasty. No beer because I got to drive my kid to to her softball game tonight here in Springdale. Yeah, so I think that's what we saw this last weekend. I do think it was, the NCAA and these conferences cramming together, as much practice as they could get in throughout the fall camp. And what you saw this last weekend was an effect. Now, having said that, let's talk about the top 25 here really quick. Let's talk about what happened around the league, or around the NCAA. Clemson handled Wake Forest 37-13. Missouri State got absolutely gut punched by Oklahoma 48-0. Notre Dame. Now this was one I really thought. I thought this would be like a 49-10, 49-14 kind of game with Duke out of the ACC, and it was 27-13. It wasn't pretty. Notre Dame does not look like a top 10 team. If the other conferences were involved, if the Big Ten and the Pac were involved, I don't know that Notre Dame would deserve to stay in the top 10. As ugly. Now, I didn't get to see that whole game, but they did not look very impressive to me. And again, you look at that final score, 27-13. Ian Brook threw 19 of 31 for 263 yards with a touchdown. But outside of that, there was nothing really special about what Notre Dame did with Duke. You got to give them credit. At least it was a Power 5, it was ACC opponent. Texas beat UTEP 59-3. University of Texas El Paso falls to 1-1 on the year. 59-3. The optics look good. Quarterback Ehlinger. I always want to say Ehlinger. 426 yards on 25 completions. I really would want to check the record book. And I know they've had great quarterbacks come through Texas, but 25 completions, 426 yards, 5 passing touchdowns. I know it's UTEP. I'm with you. And it's Texas, right? Horns down all day, baby. But that's a great way to start, all things considered. Syracuse, North Carolina, this was another one I kind of thought. I had a feeling they would struggle against Cuse because they're not an atrocious team. They're no Arkansas Razorbacks of Power 5 football. And again, looking at the optics of the last 2 or 3 years, they held their own against Cuse for a little bit there in the first half. I think they went in at half. It was like a 10-point game or something. I cannot remember. I tried to catch a little bit of that game when I could, but North Carolina, who's number 18 in the country, would win that thing 38-6. You were supposed to have UCF Florida International this weekend. Of course, UCF is 21st in the country. But then you had Arkansas State. Oh, hang on. Let's start with Iowa State and Louisiana. They lose this thing 31-14 to Louisiana. Now, look, I know Arkansas has had their share of unbelievable losses the last several years, especially since the Petrino era. right? I get that. But Iowa State, I mean, this was a team that was dark horse to be a top 2, top 3 caliber team in the Big 12. This is not a situation like what happened with the Razorbacks in 2012 when Petrino was fired and you lost to Louisiana Monroe at home. This was essentially, the same head coach, the same guy that was given a pretty nice contract a little while back. A lot of hype around Iowa State. Again, I think this was kind of a Rona attack. I don't know how many players from Iowa State had to sit out in that game, but Iowa State played like crap. I did get a chance to see some of that game as well. They looked terrible, and they've never been an offensive powerhouse. They're beating teams 29-17, right? Like they really good defense. They play sound defense. It's kind of their and to do that in the Big 12, which is so offensive heavy. Don't get me wrong, crap conference. Is the Sun Belt, have they taken the place of the Big 12 among the Power 5? It sure as hell looks that way. Big 12 is garbage. They're terrible. But to lose to Louisiana with all this excitement, all these starters, all these guys coming back, anytime Iowa State's ranked, you've got to take a look, right? You got to take a gander, and they lose this thing 31-14. Again, am I surprised? Not really. You have to factor in the Rona. I get it. Unorthodox offseason. We've said that here a million times. But holy cow. Now, let's move on to Arkansas State. This was a pretty big upset. Now, Kansas State is not Iowa State. They weren't supposed to be as good as Iowa State. We know they've got a situation at coach there. It's not the same it's not the same regime at Kansas State anymore. But even then, like these guys, I don't know. To lose to Arkansas State at home, and it was a pretty good game actually. They lost this thing 35-31. Arkansas State, we're sitting here talking about teams that were affected. I didn't realize this until yesterday. They were down 9 starters. 9 starters. I mean, I don't know if that's like salt on the wound for Kansas State. 9 starters. Now, I don't know about Kansas State. I'm sure they had some guys out. But this is a Sun Belt team. I'm just saying, Coastal Carolina, put it on KU. What a weekend, right? What a weekend. Oh, the poor Big 12. I'm sorry, you're hot flaming garbage. I'm just going to say it. Okay, let me get to your comments here really quick. Hey, back in the nation of my birth today, Texas, stopping off at Buc-ee's right now. Sounds like you're having a jolly old time in Texas, Mr. T-Dub. Yo, what's up? Arkansas is better than you think. SBC over the Big 12. Tanya Henry, what's going on? Yo, how you doing, Tanya? Week 1, Arkansas upsets Georgia 35-27. She's calling it. Tanya Henry is calling it. Look. You see what's going on at quarterback. There's rumors that they're dealing with the Rona over there. There's rumors of that here too, but I'm not going down that highway today. Gotta love it when your parents are Jayhawks fans. The Hogs might win 1 game. This is Jeffrey Howard. Ole Miss might. So, is Petway still there? No. Jermichael Petway? Oh, Iowa State. Oh. That's a good question, actually. I forgot he transferred there. That's a good question. Is LeMichael, is he still there? I don't know. He was what was he? Was he a sophomore? Redshirt sophomore? I can't remember when he transferred out of here. I remember not being very happy about it because I liked his size, his physicality, and all that. He was kind of pretty physical receiver. Went after the ball, ran pretty clean routes, as I read and was told. So, yeah, I think the top 25, this was a tough week. This was a trap week. And it makes you wonder about, and I say trap because you don't know how Corona has affected these teams. You don't. You have no idea. And you never really will. So I guess technically every week's kind of a trap. And these programs are being so secretive about who's who's got the Rona. They're not discussing it. They're not talking about it. The media is having a hard time reporting it, and rightfully so. Someone brought this up to me today that it's using the old tactical mindset. Let's not release how many guys have been affected by Rona. So this thing is going to be you tack on all the rust that these guys have had. You tack on the unorthodox offseason that these guys have had. No spring camp, just a wonky kind of offseason. And then you combine that with cramming everything into fall camp. It's a trap, especially when you're playing teams like Coastal Carolina. I mean, it's weird to say. Under these current settings, they're trap games. Arkansas State, right? Louisiana. Can this be the case for the Georgia Bulldogs in dealing with Arkansas? Are they taking Arkansas serious? A lot of people seem to think that Georgia's going to overlook Arkansas. Who knows how badly they're affected? Who knows how badly Arkansas is affected? I have kind of an idea of what's going on, but I can't. I'm not going to discuss it here. In due time. But Arkansas is going to deal with it just like Georgia is. But again, it makes you wonder: is Georgia preparing for the following week? Is this just like a warm-up game to them? Is this like a bye week? I should say bye week, but is this like a preseason game to them? I don't think they will. Kirby Smart is a guy that does prepare. Yeah, they lost to South Carolina a year ago, but I mean, you can't win them all, and it is SEC play, right? But it makes you wonder, all things considered, with Rona, with all this stuff combined, with the rust, again, the unorthodox, all this stuff that's happened during the offseason, how seriously do they take Arkansas? I could guarantee you they're not preparing for Arkansas the same way they're preparing for Florida. Like, I'm talking about intensity, right? Double checking things you see on film, triple checking, quadruple checking. How serious are you taking the Razorbacks week one? And I think what happened this weekend, Kirby Smart's probably going to give that a second thought and probably start to install their game plan maybe sooner than later because of what happened this last weekend. On the flip side of that, you have no idea what the Hogs are going to look like. You got a whole new staff, whole new system on both sides of the ball. How do you prepare for something you haven't seen? That's the question. How much is all this affecting Georgia? Is it in their mindset? And again, how do you prepare? How do you prepare when there's no film? And so that's why I think, and I've said this before here, and I said it in a video years ago or a couple of years ago. Technically, every week one is kind of a trap game, especially when the following week, you've got a tougher game, and we'll just have to wait and see. Let me get another swig. Yeah, thank you guys for coming by. We're gonna have to cut this thing short. Last thing we're going to talk about really quick. Oh, by the way, congrats to Arkansas State. I know we got a couple fans that dropped through here that are Arkansas State fans. Congrats. You're making a name for yourself. That's a big win for them. That's a big win for Arkansas State, no doubt about it. No vote today taken by the Big Ten presidents. Today was the earliest that they could come together and meet to have a fall season. They did not vote. So today was the earliest that the council presidents and chancellors could vote on returning to play in October. It didn't happen today. Medical advancements remain the key. Things still stand things still stand where they did earlier today, and that's no real big surprise. I mean, the Big Ten's kind of dragging their feet, but that's from Nicole Auerbach. From the Atlantic. She's a senior writer covering college football. She's also a Sirius XM host, once called the Nancy Drew of isolated college football fan mysteries. But anyways, that's according to the Atlantic from Nicole. So the Big Ten dragging their feet. If I knew that this was today would be the day that they could vote. This would be the soonest that they could vote. But it's not surprising that they haven't voted. I want Big Ten football back. I want Pac-12. I want everyone back into the fold just to have some normalcy. It's also nice, especially with Pac-12, because, look, anything the Big Ten does, I think the Pac-12 has shown they're going to ride the coattails. They're going to do exactly what the Big Ten does, I believe. Once the Big Ten started entertaining the idea, all of a sudden the Pac started talking about their early detection COVID kits. There's a possibility of a return this fall, possibly later on in October. they also canceled soon after the Big Ten. So if the Big Ten comes back, then you get the pack. It's nice to have everyone into the fold. It's nice to have those late PM games with those guys out west. It's always nice to have some football on late at night. I don't know about you guys, but I have no problem turning on and watching those teams out west play at 11:30, midnight, later. It's fun. It completes your day. That was like my routine. I would have my iPad up with YouTube TV playing a late Pac-12 game, and doing whatever, playing a game or maybe taking notes or something for another show or for another video. That was nice to have. It would be nice if all these conferences came into the fold. Although we're basically substituting the Sun Belt for the Big 12, so maybe we could just kind of keep the Big 12 in there, and they'll have some later games. But Big 12 is garbage. I'm sorry. I've said that here so many times, and I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Right? Little Vince Vaughn action for you from Wedding Crashers. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Crab cakes and football. Red 7. Red 7. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out all the links provided for you down below. Thanks for showing up. To all the Patreon supporters, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Again, if you're curious about joining the Patreon, the link is provided for you down below. It's a monthly, it's what, $4 a month, I think is what I still have it set at. If you don't want to do that, there's also a PayPal link provided as well. Thank you, guys. I will hopefully see you Friday. Homeschooling has been absolutely nuts. My schedule's crazy with softball and t-ball. You can see it's going on tonight. We got t-ball tonight. We got dinner. We got things we got to deal with here at the house. It's tough. I'm doing the best I can to get you guys some content. But, again, hopefully we'll see you guys on Friday. Woo Pig Suey. We'll see you around.